Hey guys, how's it going tonight? I was just over on Selfie Stream. I miss those girls. I got so busy. I'm never hardly over there anymore. So I was over and I was listening to Selfie and JJ and I'm sitting there laughing my ass off because somebody's being a dick to them. And so of course Selfie's like, suck my dick. That's nice. They're hilarious. Hey Esty, hey Deb, hey Benita. So tonight I'm just going to go over some articles. I'll read some to you and show you some clips. And it's about, well, they found the guy, I believe, alleged, hey, Brenda, alleged serial killer. So Canada does have a serial killer in Winnipeg. He is accused of killing 3 Indigenous women. It's now up to 4. So he's got 4 that I know of so far. Hey, Masked Angel. So, I don't know. I was going to go over this because I find that when it comes to Indigenous people, they don't get a lot of coverage. And I am Canadian, and I feel like it's almost like not my right, but my due diligence to do something like this. You know what I mean? Hey, Cool Gamer. So I'm going to read this article. Actually, I think there's a little snippet of footage here first. All right, we'll do this. He looks like a punk-ass bitch. I don't like him. He looks like a thug. He's that type, you know what I mean? You can just see it. I don't like it.
Four Indigenous women in Winnipeg are believed to be dead at the hands of a serial killer. Last May, police arrested and charged Jeremy Skibecki with the first-degree murder of Rebecca Contois. Now he's charged with 3 more counts related to 3 more victims, even though their bodies haven't been recovered. Police Chief Danny Smythe calls the crimes tragic and senseless. CTV's Jeff Keel joins us now live in studio with more. So, Jeff, what do we know about these 3 additional victims?
2 are from Winnipeg and members of the Long Plain First Nation. Police need help identifying the other woman here at this. Winnipeg police believe 4 Indigenous women are victims of a serial killer within a matter of weeks.
It's always unsettling when there's any kind of a serial killing.
In May, 35-year-old Jeremy Skibecki was arrested and charged with first-degree murder for the death of 24-year-old Rebecca Contois. Her partial remains were found in a bin, and the rest of her remains at the Brady landfill. Now, police have charged Skibecki with 3 more counts of first-degree murder connected to 3 more victims, even though they have not found their bodies.
I would say if we knew where the victims were, 100%, we would have been able to recover the bodies.
Listed as a missing person, police say 39-year-old Morgan Beatrice Harris of Winnipeg was killed around May 1st. The Bear Clan listed 26-year-old Mercedes Myron as missing, who police say was killed around May 4th. They are Indigenous, both members of Long Plain First Nation.
For those watching who may be impacted, I just want to extend my condolences.
And there is a 4th victim who police need the public's help identifying. She's believed to be Indigenous, in her mid-20s, with an average build, and killed around March 15th. She likely wore this type of reversible jacket, black on one side, striped on the other.
The last thing that we want is for this 4th victim to remain a Jane Doe. It's not acceptable.
Indigenous leaders say the revelation shows more needs to be done to protect Indigenous women.
We've urged all levels of government to continue to develop strategies. I think that there needs to be investment on that.
This year is not over. This marks 50 homicides for Winnipeg in 2022. The previous record was 44 in 2019.
This is a painful day for Winnipeg, and we must never become numb to the horrors of the news that we're hearing today.
The police say DNA was used to help in this investigation.
Jeff, do we know if these women were targeted because they were Indigenous?
Chief Danny Smythe says he doesn't know if they were specifically being targeted, but he noted they are all Indigenous women. There are no hate-related charges at this point.
All right, thanks for this, Jeff.
I'm sorry, I would call that a hate crime. Not only are they women, they're indigenous women, right? 4 of them from that bastard. You could tell. Look at. I don't know. They say that. Oh, don't you start again?
Or in
Chilling revelations from Winnipeg police tonight as a homicide case turned into a serial killing investigation.
There. Just gonna read some comments. Thought I seen one here. Yeah, they say don't judge by looks, but sometimes you just know evil. Do you agree, Deb? I don't know. That guy, it just doesn't look right to me. It looks like he's up to no good. He's got that thug mentality, I guess you could say, like one of the really bad ones. Like he almost looks like he's in a gang or something. He just looks like a bad dude. They don't get the effort they deserve from usually their communities have been left behind. Yeah, you're absolutely right. From law enforcement. Okay. There's an article that went with that as well, I believe. So I'm just going to go over that. Which is really pretty much what they just said. And see, can't they have, but that's like what happened, SD, like with, in Vancouver, like Regina, when they had all those, when those 2 brothers, they were indigenous and they went after their own clan and they went after their own people. I mean, they're saying, I guess that, I believe that was a hate crime, even though they're indigenous as well. But I mean, that's just what I would feel. But yeah, you're right. That's how they would. He looks like he might be, but I don't know. It says 4 indigenous women in Winnipeg are believed to be dead at the hands of an alleged serial killer, Jeremy Anthony Michael Sibicki, 35, now facing 4 charges of first-degree murder following an investigation that started back in May following the death of an indigenous woman. On May 16, 2022, police provided details about the death of a 24-year-old Rebecca Contois after her partial remains were found near an apartment building in the 200 block of Edison Avenue. And then, get this, her additional remains are found in a fucking landfill. Like, really? Skibicki was charged with first-degree murder in connection with, I don't know how to spell her or sound her last name. Sound it. I'm just going to call her Rebecca Contois, I think, but I could be wrong. Says police continued to investigate, saying they didn't rule out the possibility that there were more victims. Like, really? On Thursday, police announced that there's 3 more victims. They had been identified. It's believed that they were killed before Rebecca between March and May. One woman who has not yet been identified is believed to have been killed around March 15th, 2022. Police said the victim is an indigenous woman in her mid-20s with an average build. Exactly, SD. And even though if he was, I'm going to have to look that up and see if he is, because I don't really know. 2 other women have been identified. 30-year-old Morgan Beatrice Harris of Winnipeg, who is believed to have been killed on or around May 1st, and 26-year-old Mercedes Myron of Winnipeg, who is believed to have been killed on or around May 4th. Both Harris and Myron were members of Long Plain First Nation. As a result of the investigation, police said they have charged Skibicki with 3 more counts of first-degree murder. Good. Unfortunately, we don't have the death penalty, though. And it says here that the charges against Skibicki have not been proven in court. Mayor Scott Gillingham called Thursday a painful day for Winnipeg, which we saw him say that. And they just basically state what he said. We must never become numb to the horrors of news that we're hearing today because every homicide represents a life. As a father, as a husband, I feel deep sorrow for these lives that have been lost far too early. Police Chief Danny Smith said it's unsettling when there is any kind of serial killing, adding these homicides are unsettling because they involve indigenous women. It is unsettling. It's enough already. It's still going on. It hasn't stopped. It's just full-blown racism. Police released a photo of the jacket they say is similar to the one believed to have been worn by the unidentified woman who was killed in March war. The jacket is reversible and contains a black and white pattern. The words baby fat, a fur hood, and a cat-like logo on the front and the back of the jacket. So it's there's a symbol right there of the cat. It's a baby fat jacket. I like that jacket. Like, I don't know what to say. I'm just so sick and tired of hearing about it. These people deserve justice. So it says here, a photo shows one side of a jacket similar to the one a homicide victim in Winnipeg was wearing. Police are asking for the public's help to identify the victim. Then here, it's reversible. And it says here, it's showing one side of the jacket, again, similar to the homicide victim in Winnipeg. And then he states here that the last thing they want is this victim to be a Jane Doe. From Sean Pike with the Major Crimes Unit. The 3 new homicides bring the city's total, holy shit, for the year to 50, a number Gillingham called unacceptable. As a mayor, as a citizen, I cannot accept that, and as a city, we must not accept it. He said we need to do more. I agree, 100%. Smith called the 4 homicides senseless and tragic acts. We will do our best to support the families now and into the future as 3 investigations move forward, prosecution said. This is on Edison Avenue in May. The homicide. One of the homicides anyways. Did you toot? I think my dog tooted. Oh my god. Hi, yes, Taylor. Thank you for covering this as it needs more coverage. You're right, it does. And I'm not indigenous whatsoever. I don't know what it is with me. Crimes that are committed, especially when it has to do with indigenous people, I don't know what it is with me. I see red. I always have. I think a lot of it has to do with my son. He's 11 years old. He'll be 12 in January. And I swear he must have been indigenous in his past life. He listens to their music. He's got stuff that is from them. I mean, like dream catchers and squirrel tails. And I always bring him every summer downtown. And there's I can't remember his name. I have his card, but this indigenous man that's there every single summer, and he's always selling the stuff that he makes, and it's beautiful. He's got like rawhide, he's got the bones, and he makes out of necklaces and stuff. My son's got a lot of them. I don't know what it is with him, but he just loves it. There's more for this too as well. I'm just going to stop my screen and share some more. You're welcome, Navajo Blondie. Absolutely. You guys are more than welcome to have your input, please. Sorry, it's my dog. He's... Oh my gosh. Are you all right, buddy? Jeepers, you're tooting and gagging. What's going on over there? You gonna make it? Oh, thank you for sharing. Okay, what else did I want to show? Navajo code talkers? Thank you. I don't know. What that makes the only thing that makes sense to me is that I don't know, it's like I do believe, I think, in like past lives and stuff. Our energy has to have come and go somewhere, right? Like I'll hear him in there listening to the music, and it's so calming for him, and he draws while he listens to it. So he drew a scene, and it was of mountains, and it was of trees and a lake, and I was looking at this is beautiful, baby. I was like, you know what you should do? You should give this to Nanny and Papa for Christmas. And I bought frames for it. He's going to do another one for my mom. I thought it was just, wow, this kid amazes me. He's an old soul. All right, I'm going to write that down. So, Navajo code talkers. Wind talkers? Oh, he's already seen that. But I'm pretty sure he has. Wind talkers. Okay, there's more here. So this one here, it says daughter of indigenous women murdered in Winnipeg. It says mom sought to make her feel special. It's just like, seriously? Oh, where the photo go? What the hell? I must be a subscriber. Are you kidding me? I already... Wow. So there she is there. Oh, wow. What a jerk move. Seriously? Yeah, I got booted out. Well, that's bullshit. Hey, Jackie. Yeah, they won't let me share this one. Fine. I've got a few more. Hey, Patty. I think this might be the same clip here. I might be wrong.
Trying to start an Amazon business, you're doing it all wrong. See, everybody's doing the exact same thing, selling junk on Amazon, and maybe that used to work, but now
Yeah, I think this was the same clip. Oh, no, it's a huge press conference, so we can watch that as well.
My name is Danny Smythe. I'm the chief of police. With me this afternoon is Mayor Scott Gillingham, who will speak in a short while. The police board, Marcus Chambers, is here with us, as well as Inspector Pike, who will provide a little more detail afterwards as well. And finally, our family support advocate, Angie Tuesday, is with us as well, and she may have a message on behalf of the family a little later. On May 19th, 2022, the Winnipeg Police released information to the arrest of Jeremy Skibicki in relation to the murder of 24-year-old Rebecca Contois, who was originally from Crane River First Nations. Today, I'm here to publicly report.
Thank you, Crystal. That's so nice of you. That sticker is crazy looking.
Jeremy Skibicki has, for the last 6 months, our homicide, other specialized unit that persons identification. They've all worked diligently investigating Skibicki's activity. This morning, investigators attended to the Milner Ridge Correctional Facility and charged him with 3 additional first-degree murder charges. He's been charged with the murder of Morgan, 39 years old, of Winnipeg, and the plane first. Investigator Leverus was killed on or 22. Skibicki has also been charged with the murder of Mercedes Myron, 26 years old, of Winnipeg, and also a member of the Long Plains First Nation. Investigators believe Mercedes Myron was killed on or about May 4th, 2022. A third charge of first-degree murder is in relation to a female that we have yet to identify. Investigators believe this female was killed by Skibicki on or about March 15th, 2022. Now, I'm not in a position to provide much in the way of investigative detail. We will have Inspector Pike address you a little bit later in this press conference. I think I'll close by offering my condolences to the family for these senseless and tragic acts. We will do our best to support the families now and into the future as these investigations move towards prosecutions. Before asking Mayor Gillingham up to the podium, I would like to acknowledge the efforts of Inspector Pike, the homicide investigators, and all of those who have helped support this investigation, and the families for forever being changed by this senseless violence. So with that, Mayor Gillingham.
Thank you, Chief Smythe, Inspector Pike, Angie, Councillor Marcus Chambers, Chair of the Police Board. On behalf of the citizens of Winnipeg, I want to express my sincere sorrow to the families of these young women. And actually, condolences are not strong enough. Anger, sorrow, that mix is what I'm feeling right now. And I think that many in our city are going to be feeling the same today at this news.
I like that he's saying that it's not enough. That it's not enough. And anger and sorrow is not enough. Because, you know, like I said, when it comes to Indigenous, even men, there's men missing. I just found this out. I was researching, and I have a map. It's not my map. I got it off of a woman who runs this Reddit group, and there's an actual map of all these missing Indigenous men. It's not just the females. My mind was blown. Like, the crimes against them still, to this day, is unbelievable. It shouldn't be this way. It just shouldn't.
These women were members of me. They're someone's sister, someone's mother, someone's friend. And as a city, we must all grieve their loss and recognize that we have much more work to do. More work to do to protect the lives of Indigenous women and girls, including Two-Spirited and LGBTQ people. We have more to do to address safety across this community. Right now, there are far too many people experiencing homelessness, addiction, and poverty, and that puts them into vulnerable positions. And there's too much violent crime. Far too many homicides. This marks 50 homicides a record, and that's unacceptable. I know for the chief and for the service, I know it's unacceptable to them. They've expressed as much. As mayor, as a citizen, I cannot accept that, and as a city, we must not accept that. We need to do more. I want to acknowledge today groups like Mama Wichita and Kani Kanichak and so many other organizations who are on the front lines day and night, doing important work to keep our community safe and specifically to work with and to assist Indigenous women and girls. I want to thank them for their work. Different levels of government, including the City of Winnipeg, recently committed to an expansion of Velma's House, which provides safe space for Indigenous women who are fleeing intimate partner violence or who are vulnerable. And this is an incredible, important resource, but we need to do more. I recently met with newly elected Grand Chief Kathy Merrick, and I committed to building a stronger working partnership and an open relationship with the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs, all of their communities, and the entire Indigenous community of our city. And later today, and in the days ahead, I'll be speaking with Indigenous leaders from across our province to offer my condolences on behalf of the people of Winnipeg, and to talk about ways that we can work together to make changes to prevent tragedies like this from reoccurring. But of course, today is not just about expressing thoughts and prayers. It's about making real efforts towards real change that will reduce gender-based violence and race-related violence. And in closing, I want to acknowledge the work of Chief Smythe, Inspector Pike, Angie Tuesday, the members of the Winnipeg Police Service who've been working diligently and remain working diligently on all of these files. I also want to acknowledge the work of the Provincial Crown Attorneys who have very important work that they've already done and certainly important work ahead. This is a painful day for Winnipeg, and we must never become numb to the horrors of the news that we're hearing today, because every homicide represents a life. As a father, as a husband, I feel deep sorrow for these lives that have been lost far too early. We must do all we can to make the change that is necessary to keep Winnipeggers safe. Thank you.
Do you guys feel like he sounds like he gives a shit? I want to say yes. I mean, everything sounds good coming from him.
Everyone, I want to speak to you briefly from the investigative aspect of what's going on. The first thing I say is please appreciate this is an ongoing, very sensitive matter, and I won't be able to provide any details regarding specific aspects of the investigation at that time. This being said, I think it's important for everyone in the room to understand, to be clear that this.
I agree, Patricia. Right, Deb? Well, I'm assuming they caught the right guy, so I hope so. And then it just stops. Sick fucker.
Information of identifying this fourth unknown victim. It's important for every single person in this room and beyond to appreciate somewhere out there, there's a family and a community that are missing a loved one and truly deserve to know what happened. Today, we're asking for your help. We're calling on everyone, including the media, to help us identify this female. It doesn't matter how trivial you may think your information may be, give us a chance. Give us a chance to follow it up, because the last thing that we want is for this fourth victim to remain a Jane Doe. It's not acceptable. We believe she is an indigenous female, in her mid-20s. And just for missing or this female wore this type of jacket in these colors. This jacket is reversible. So you'll see black on the one side, striped on the other. It's a matter of turning the jacket inside.
Hey, Lori. Okay, so it's not the jacket. It's exactly the same, identical. And it's that brand that's called Baby Fat. I can't imagine what families of the missing are going through. I can't either. It needs to stop. This happens way too often, and it's always against Indigenous women, always. But then, like I said, I'm finding out it's not only them, it's the men as well. There's a whole, I'm going to have to show you this map. It's unbelievable, the missing men. You had a 6-hour live stream? Holy cow, girl.
Right out. On the straight side, there's across the bottom, and it says Baby Fat on it. It's BABYPHAT. There's a crest on the right or on the left front of the striped jacket. And when it's inverted with the black, there's a symbol on the back that appears to resemble a cat. And on the top left shoulder area, it says Be Fat, same spelling. If these or this clothing is familiar to you, we are asking any member of the public, again, as I say, the media, anybody, if you have any information that you think may assist investigators with this, please reach out to us. Please reach out to our homicide unit at 204-986-6508 or at Winnipeg Crime Stoppers, and that's 204-786-8477. And again, on behalf of all investigators and everyone at the police service, condolences, our sincerest condolences, as the chief said, goes out to the families and communities affected. Thank you.
We'll open up to questions. Maybe we'll let Angie just bring some message on behalf of the family.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Angie Tuesday. I'm a family court and resource advocate with Winnipeg Police Service. I had opportunity to connect with the families of Morgan and Mercedes. They have asked for privacy at this time. They didn't want any
They've been calling her Buffalo Woman, a moniker given to her by law enforcement and community. Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, because I haven't seen that she's been found yet. Or not found, sorry. She hasn't been named yet. She's still Jane Doe. But now that's good. Call her Buffalo Woman.
because they need time to grieve. What I will say is this, community supports have mobilized to ensure that there are supports available to both families. And that's something that we will continue to do going forward, as this is a tremendously difficult time for both these families that we're discussing today, as well as all of the families of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirit and gender diverse people in Manitoba. So for those watching who may be impacted, I just want to extend my condolences again to the families of these women, of Mercedes, of Rebecca, of Morgan, and of this unidentified female.
I like her. Exactly. That's what I was thinking too, Deb. Yeah. I like this woman. She seems so sincere. She actually seems to be on the verge of tears. So sad all around.
And I want to let people know that we are thinking of you and our hearts are with you at this time. There are supports available to you and to, again, other family members of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirit people who will understandably be having having difficulty, might be having difficulty managing and coping with this tragic news. I think I'll leave it there. Which?
This all happened, it started in May. There's 4 women now. 3 have been identified. The 4th woman has not. He's caught, though. The serial killer. Well, they're saying alleged serial killer, but I mean, come on.
So I know we had 4 different speakers here, so if you have a specific question for someone, just let me know who you want to talk to.
Chief, we'll start with you. Can you tell us how you cracked the case with these women missing? Did you find something in the suspect's house? Can you just give us a little bit more insight?
I'm not going to be able to give you a lot. To be fair, the investigation was handled by homicide, and any speaking on the investigation, I'll leave for Inspector Pike if you want.
Chief Smythe, what's the general message to the public about the complexities of these investigations and the fact that these charges have now been laid? Tell us about what goes into this type of work.
Well, as you can see, the original arrest of Mr. Skibicki was in May, so there was a lot of into identifying these other 3 victims.
Hey, Two Skulls. Yeah, it's just something awful. I'm hoping that there's only 4 victims. I mean, that's bad enough.
It takes some time. A lot of forensic work went into it, a lot of lab work. That's in part of the delay. And then, of course, the family supports that are necessary to help along the way. All of that is factored in to where we are today. Now this will transition to a prosecution.
Were Indigenous women being specifically targeted?
Pardon me?
Were Indigenous women being specifically targeted?
I don't know if they were specifically being targeted, but clearly the victims in this are all Indigenous women.
Chief, as the Chief of Police, message to the public about coming forward with information. We heard a little bit about it from Inspector Pike, but as the lead of this agency, what's your message to the public? Maybe you know something.
Our community has always been very good at coming forward with things that help assist our investigators. There have been numerous examples over the years where they have provided us with the leads necessary for our investigators to complete their work. This is pretty specific information tied to these jackets. I have no doubt that people will recognize it and conceivably come forward.
Tell us how a serial killer in Winnipeg. Just talk.
And there's any kind we've encountered in custody and has been in custody since May. So there is no danger out in the community relative investigative process here. But it's of course unsettling. It's unsettling because it does involve Indigenous women. We're very sensitive to the whole missing and murdered Indigenous women investigation and inquiry and the recommendations that come out of that. This is top of mind for us. It's something that we work with our partners to try to prevent this kind of stuff, doing a lot of outreach work with many of the community support agencies out there so that it doesn't come to this.
Were you able to get all of the remains from each of the victims? And I ask because with the first victim, as you know, you only had partial remains at first.
Right. So we haven't recovered the bodies of the other 3 victims. First-degree murder.
The only cat is sweet paychecks come from
Okay, so it is going to be first-degree murder for all 4. That's good. That's amazing. I'm looking to see if he was Indigenous, and I'm not finding anything. So I don't really know. I'll keep looking.
Are there potentially other victims?
None that we're aware of. We have no additional leads that are any other people that have been associated to anything to do with Mr. Skibicki.
And on the first-degree murder charge, how common is it to lay a first-degree murder charge when you don't know the identity of the victim? Is that problematic? And it's probably more of a question for the Crown. Is that problematic going to trial?
It's not unheard of. You're right. It is probably a question more for the Crown to speak to. But it is, it's not unprecedented for charges to be laid, first degree or otherwise, even without a body.
In a situation like this, does a review take place entirely to find out? We've seen examples in other cities where maybe some things are, I'm not saying that here, but we'll investigate sooner.
The first Contois that we reported he was arrested right during that time. You've heard us describe the investigations of the other murders happened all within a short time of that. So it was all within a fairly condensed period of time.
Chief, this might be a question for Inspector, but what was the relationship between these women and just anything?
I don't know, to be fair, but it will form part of the investigation, ultimately part of the prosecution.
Did the police believe that we've got different things here?
Again, that'll form investigation as to what led up to first-degree murder charges being filed. Victims and their murders all happened within weeks of each other.
And you say the bodies have not been recovered. Is there another? Is this time with the landfill again, or is it something totally different?
I'm sorry?
Is this tie in with the search of the landfill, or is it something different?
No, I don't foresee an additional search of the landfill.
But you are the definition of a serial killer.
Yeah, I guess that's a fair.
I was just going to say that. Why not search the rest of the landfill if he's a serial killer and he has already dropped partial remains in that landfill of one of the missing women? Why not search the rest of it? Because if you're a serial killer, there'd be, you know what I'm saying? There would be a whole bunch. Because right now he's only charged with first-degree murder for 4. Who knows how many he's put in that landfill is what I'm trying to say. I hope not, but you never know. So I'm just going to see what his reply is here.
That's a fair comment. There are 4 very specific murders as part of this investigation.
I might have missed this, but the victim was he was originally arrested for, where does that fall in what order?
Do you recall? Yeah, go ahead. I'll let Inspector Pike answer that.
Yeah, so how the order has gone is we believe the unknown female was our first victim. Morgan Harris was the second victim. Mercedes Myron was the third victim, and Rebecca Contois was the 4th victim.
Are you considering any kind of hate charges? I know the chief said you couldn't speak to if they were specifically targeted for being indigenous, but I asked because after the first killing, that was something that had come up in the media. There was talk about potential hate charges and if they should be weighed in these types of situations. Is that something you're looking at? And I also asked just because the accused Facebook did have white supremacist material on it.
Sure. What I can tell you is that when our homicide unit put their package together in consultation with the Crowns at Manitoba Justice, the charges that came back were the 3 additional first-degree murder charges, with obviously the first one for Rebecca Contois. So right now, those are the charges that are outstanding.
When you're using these are recovered, is there a possibility of indecency between the real charges?
Well, again, that's
what I wanted to know too. So okay, so because I would imagine that yes, he should be charged with hate crime for all 4 murders because they were indigenous. So I'm assuming that he's not. But he says, as far as he knows, like right now, there's only 4 charges of first-degree murder. There's no charges in any hate crime, which there should be if he's not indigenous.
That's speculation, right? As the chief said, we haven't recovered remains at this point, so I wouldn't want to speculate on something like that.
Where are you on that? Where in particular, do you have any idea?
Again, investigation-wise, we are quite honestly that there were things very similar to Rebecca Contois, but our investigators are still working through parts of the file.
Besides being indigenous, is there anything that ties these women together into each other?
Again, I think these might be some aspects that would come out through the investigation itself or through the court process. So as you can appreciate, I'm trying to tread very lightly through certain details. So that's why.
When he was arrested initially, an extensive search of his apartment, some material being taken out of there. Was that investigation kind of triggered by what was found in this individual's apartment following the control?
Again, I think we're starting to work our way into specifics of the investigation, and I'd like to stay away from there.
So could I ask something specifically you can touch on? Do police know or have a good idea of where the victims are?
As far as knowing, I would say if we knew where the victims were, 100%, we would have been able to recover the bodies.
But they were all killed in Winnipeg, is that the thought?
That's our belief, yes.
So that makes me mad. I think they need to check the landfill. Definitely checking that landfill.
With this suspect, I guess, or alleged serial killer, was this person stalking a particular area or particular locations where maybe these victims frequented?
Again, as I've said before, I'm treading very carefully around anything that deals with the investigative package that's gone to the Crowns. So any kind of details I would prefer not to speak about, just so it doesn't jeopardize anything going forward.
Was DNA used at all?
There was a DNA component, yes.
Can you elaborate on that and just explain for us how that might have helped you crack the case if at all?
Again, what I can speak to, I guess, in DNA in general, I don't want to really speak to the specifics, but DNA in general is, as a lot of you have heard over the years, it's a true evidence-based process where we have scientists involved, and the process unfolds, and it takes a bit of time. But generally speaking, that's how DNA works for us.
Are police interviewing anybody alongside Skibicki, or interviewing anybody else in terms of this case, or looking at anybody else?
As the chief said, no, we're of the belief with the information we have right now that Skibicki acted alone, and we haven't had anything over this course of the last 6 months to suggest anything else.
And was there anything in the landfill during the initial search for Rebecca Quantaw that helped you with these 3 additional?
Again, the evidence that came out of that landfill search was released to the public, and it was in relation to Rebecca Quantaw.
Do you believe that all these women were killed in the same place?
Again, we're kind of looking at some investigative components there, so I think I'll reserve comment at this point.
When we're talking about like DNA, people have bodies, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. Could it have been like blood in an apartment, or like, what does that mean specifically if 50% DNA was utilized here?
Again, what I'll leave it at is the specifics of the case. The specific kind of DNA. So.
But it was utilized?
DNA was utilized, yes.
Is there a way to explain why this person was, why the suspect was doing this? Is there a motive? How do you explain to the public why? Prosecution.
Yeah, so you know what? It's a great question, and I think at the end of the day, that's up to Mr. Skibicki to decide if he wants to reveal what the reason for all this.
Has he been cooperating?
Again, I won't speak to the specifics. Thank you.
On the question of understanding that there's some science involved here, was there also information from the community that helped you put this in?
Sorry, could you say that again?
Was there also information from the community that helped you put it together?
I can tell you our officers from all these units, as the chief had mentioned, have come together from our homicide unit to our identification unit. Lots of interviews were done. Information was gleaned from communications that we had with throughout the investigation. I'll leave it at that.
Can you say whether or not someone came to you with information that something was solved?
I can't say.
Are you able to say how you were able to determine that the 4th victim was the first one, or like the 4th? Here you have the kill on her.
How our unidentified female is the first victim. That just came out through the course of the investigation as our officers put the timeline together, tracking Mr. Skibicki's actions. That's how they came to that conclusion.
And the coat, was that found in his residence, or like, can you just fill us in on how that came about?
Again, I think when it comes to that jacket, and I'm glad you're asking about it because it's an important part of today, is that the big takeaway is to get this information out to the public about that jacket, give us a chance to help identify this victim. As to where it came from or our information on it, I'm not going to speak about that. But again, I'll speak about the importance of this, how this can help a family and a community if we can all get together to solve this.
So, and maybe just talk a little bit specifically about the jacket itself. You know, what kind of information are you looking for? Like, is this if the person was seen in a certain area wearing this jacket? If someone sold someone's jacket, if a merchant was selling these jackets, you know, what should the public kind of be honing in on when it comes to this actual piece of clothing?
Okay, great question. We'll take any information in regards to it. Ultimately, in a perfect world, we have someone come and tell us that they knew exactly who was wearing a jacket like this. That's ultimately what we're hoping for.
One last one for me. I don't mean any disrespect on this, but if you don't have a body, how can you be certain someone's dead?
Well, again, it's part of an extensive investigation. What I can tell you is that the package went to the Crown attorneys. They reviewed it, and based on all the evidence that they had a chance to review, they authorized the first-degree murder charge, which, as you know, is a very serious charge.
And Chief Smith, my apologies, you spoke to this a little bit, but Inspector, your message to the public last time was this type of investigation. In terms of specifics, when was the last time you recalled this many people involved, this many victims, and frankly, one potential suspect?
Are you asking me about the last time that Sean Lamb was his name? Sean Lamb. Oh, I'm sorry, Stamas, but Sean Lamb was one that stood out for me.
Take a couple more.
Chief Smith touched on it, but your message really to the public is that women shouldn't be scared. You're confident there's no other victims, because I think there's a lot of missing Indigenous women still now. Their families will be watching this and wondering maybe it's just a good time to share something.
Well, what I can tell you in the specifics of this, as was touched on already, Jeremy Skibicki was arrested as soon as we were aware of what was going on. He has been housed in a correctional facility since that time, and he has not, to my knowledge, been released at any given moment. So public safety is always a concern with us when we come across something like this. And we know that he was not in the public since we've been made aware of him.
You don't think there'll be any more victims than the ones listed here?
We have no information to suggest there'll be anyone else.
Talk about, like, how can something like this happen? To get to this point.
Again, I'm definitely not going to make excuses for Mr. Skibicki, I'll tell you that. I think those are questions for him.
Anything else?
Just gonna read some comments. We have to be able to prove he did what he did because they were Indigenous. If they can't prove that 100% because he didn't free. I'm in Canada though. It is different here. Yeah, I wouldn't go free here even if they are Indigenous. He killed them, so he'd still be held and tried, depending on the state. Yeah, it's in Canada. That case really still pisses me off. The Casey Anthony case. They would have charged her with manslaughter. She probably would have been found guilty, but they were charged her with first-degree unaliving. I'm just being hopeful that they won't blow it. It sounds like they don't have proof to. Yeah, it doesn't sound like it at all. Oh yeah, there's hate crime. Yeah, there is, Deb. Yeah, you can tell they're Canadians, right? Exactly. With all sincerity, with all due respect. Yeah. That's the thing. I don't like the way he said, what did he say? He's like, we have him in custody, and they believe they have the right one, so they believe they don't need to put out a warning to any more Indigenous women being unalived. But I almost felt like he wasn't being accurate in saying that he's going to be kept in custody. You know what I'm saying? Hate crime charges usually are hard to prove unless there is written evidence, and usually it's by the suspect's handwritten confession. I mean, this clearly is a hate crime, and if he's Indigenous, well, then I guess that goes out the window. But I don't think he is. I'm not seeing anything to suggest that he is. He just, because the officer just said too, that's a question for Jeremy to answer, because people are asking, like, is this a hate crime? Do you think it's a hate crime? And he's not really stating much. It's a question for him, and the answer we'll get. Okay, I'm gonna. There's. Right, why wouldn't he be? Yeah, and he's in jail as he's been charged already. Yeah, that's the thing though. I don't know how long they have to hold him. Like if they do, well, they have to have evidence, because from what I heard on that video, what I'm assuming, that jacket was found in his apartment. The remains were in the landfill and the bin. Wow. It's just so sad. Here's a tip line I'm going to show you. Can you help us solve this homicide? Actually, I'll read this first. A family and community are missing a loved one. Winnipeg police tweeted, along with images of the jacket, they deserve to know what happened. So this was on Twitter. So here's the number. It's 204-986-6508 or Crime Stoppers, Winnipeg.ca News. I'm going to put that in the chat and then pin it. There, I pinned it. If they're still investigating, they may want to keep that close to the vest. Wouldn't want to mess. Oh yeah, they definitely are not hiding things, but they're saving things. They don't want the whole world to know because of that. Exactly. Yeah. Hopefully they searched the suspect home, and hopefully he was dumb enough to keep a journal or diary and wrote down what he did. Yeah, they did arrest him. He's in custody. I can't see him getting out. Absolutely not. And there's evidence already that they found, so they don't need confession. They have their evidence. You know what I mean? He's the only one involved, luckily, so we don't have to worry about a second murderer. I looked for more news articles, but there's nothing since December 2nd that I can find. Yeah, I'm looking right now and I'm not seeing anything. I believe that, yeah, the latest ones is December 2nd. And it's all the same. Yeah, in May, it started May 16th or when they found them. Yeah, it just shows the 4. I'm not seeing anything. Oh, what's this one? Oh, okay, here's more information. I did find something. All right, cool. Now they have to worry about copycats? Oh, don't even put that in the atmosphere. No, this is another guy, Patricia. That's what I mean. Like, no, those 2 guys were brothers and they're both dead. They're both dead. One died in custody and one of the brothers actually killed his brother. That was horrible. They're still saying alleged because, yeah. Alleged Winnipeg serial killer Jeremy Skibicki's case will go straight to trial without preliminary hearing. He will, what? He's going to plead not guilty for 4 charges of first-degree murder, the lawyer says, and this was December 2nd. Wow. He's facing 4 first-degree murder charges in connection with the deaths of 4 women, Rebecca Morgan Harris, Mercedes Myran, and a 4th woman who has not been identified, and Rebecca Contois. The case of Winnipeg man accused of killing 3 First Nations women and a 4th unidentified woman will go directly to trial without a preliminary hearing. So he's facing the 4 first-degree murder charges of the deaths of, the last one, the police believe the woman was in her 20s. It says he appeared in court on Friday, a day after police announced he had been charged in connection with the deaths of Myran Harris and the identified woman. He had been arrested and charged in connection with Contois' death in May. Okay, so he's got 4 charges. The Crown said it plans to proceed by direct indictment with the murder trial, which means there will be no preliminary hearing to first consider whether there's enough evidence. Okay, that's good news. He still remains in custody. His lawyer, Leonard Taylor, says his client will plead not guilty on all counts. About a dozen family and friends of Contois said in court Friday, several wearing T-shirts bearing the image of her face and the words, "Justice for Rebecca." He appeared in court in person with a shaved head, a gray goatee, with his hands and feet shackled. He said nothing aside from confirming his name to the judge. The next court date, and write that down, is set for January 13th, 2023. Okay, so that's the latest. So they do have enough information, and they did have enough to charge him, so it looks like he's not getting out. Hey, the sick Joe. He does look like a pretty big man. He's a son of a bitch. You've been mainly slacking. Oh, no worries. So he's gonna plead not guilty. No, there's no way he's gonna get away with this. I can't see it. There's too much evidence. Now, what with SD was saying was the first degree murder charge. I mean, he's got to get that. I mean, there's no way around that one. But the way court is, and you're right about that Casey Anthony. I still can't believe Casey Anthony. What happened with that case? I still, wow. I'm finding out though that the evidence was not all shown to the jury. Had the jury had all the evidence, she would have been charged and sentenced of first degree murder and all the other charges. I still don't understand how she got away with it. I really don't. Big time. Yeah, the DA, big time. Absolutely. No, I haven't watched it. I read both books. The one, I can't remember the Diane Fanning. I read the book that she did on Casey Anthony, and then I read the prosecutor's book, and I just broke my heart for him. And from what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing, that series that she had come out with, Casey, it's a piss off. It's all full of lies and bullshit. She wasn't questioned appropriately, meaning people were not allowed to ask her actual questions that need to be answered. It was she was getting handled with kid gloves. It was ridiculous. She must stop doing that program. She looks more guilty than before. Yeah, and yet we can't do anything about it. That's what's shitty. I was weaving in some ends on your blanket, but kept getting in trouble by Puppy insisting. Oh, so cute. In a 12-person jury, the DA have to have all 12 members to agree. The defense only needs to put the seed of one doubt in one. Exactly. And they weren't able to do that for poor Kaylee. They better do it this time. Exactly, Patricia. I think they're both Amber Heard, and I think Casey Anthony, they are very dangerous women and should be locked up, in my own opinion. Phew, excuse me. Okay, where was it? I have something else here. Yeah, she can. It's crazy. Yeah, I agree, Jackie. I want to show you something. There's this person on Reddit. She put together this map of all missing indigenous men. Missing, murdered. You're going to see the map. It's unbelievable. Yeah, it's missing and or possibly murdered men in British Columbia. Look at this. Missing men, 14 to 35. And that's the green pin. Oops, wrong way. Look at this shit. Sorry, I'm trying to. Look at this. Isn't that crazy? Missing men 35 to 60 is the blue. Missing men 50 plus is the gray. And then missing persons vehicles recovered, identified remains is the pink death sign. The unidentified remains is the red ones. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's so many. Yeah, I'm not even going to count. She is a sweetheart, Patricia. Got to see it. It's beautiful. This is insane to have this many. What was the gray again? All missing. So green, blue, and gray are all missing men. Isn't that sick? All in British Columbia and all around British Columbia. This is, wow. Oh my God, there's a lot right here in Richmond. And this is all recovered cart. Holy shit. Like whoever did this was amazing. This has been going on. Oh my gosh. This is about a year's worth of work that this woman did, but this has been going on for years and years and years. 80s, 90s, 70s, you name it. It's been happening. But this is just men. There's not one female on here. This is just men. This is ridiculous. And that's the thing. What time period were they reported? It goes back as far, I think she said late 60s. This was published, yeah, about a year ago. It was September 16th, 2021. I do that too, autistic, whenever I have something that I want to do, but I want background noise. This is insane, though. Can you imagine if she actually added all the women too? The missing women, the missing cars from women, the actual dead women, the age groups. Like, what? This is insane. And there's a lot in Richmond. Holy fuck. Oh. And in Surrey and... I've never seen anything like this. She's got a contact number too. It's called Missing Men British Columbia at gmail.com. I'm going to put that in here. This is just for Canada and British Columbia. Yeah, that's what the map is for. British Columbia and surrounding areas. That's all that this person was trying to say. Like, and this is just missing men, missing and murdered men, and their vehicles. This is insane. Just in one area. Like, holy frig. It's crazy. Here is the email. I feel like I want to contact her. Just see. I don't know. Maybe I can help. I got a channel. I don't know if she does. I'm going to write that down too so I don't forget. She also has a lost loved one as well, which is believed to be dead. Then, of course, there's the Highway of Tears. I'm just going to show you guys a little something or other on here. And there we go. This is the one that's mostly known and talked about, is the Highway of Tears. This is all the missing and murdered women along this highway, and this has been going on for years and years and years. And apparently, it's not as bad anymore. They're saying that it's not like it was within the past few years. It's stopped. I don't know if I believe that, because there's still men missing, so no. So it says the Highway of Tears refers to a 724-kilometer length of Yellowhead Highway 16 in British Columbia, where many women, mostly Indigenous, have disappeared or been found murdered. The Highway of Tears is part of a larger national crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. In 2015, the federal government launched a national inquiry into these cases. It took them until 2015. This article contains such, oh my God, look at, they have a sign. Caution, girls, don't hitchhike on the Highway of Tears. Killer on the loose. And here's some victims. Wow. That they know of. That have been identified. I can't really read their names. Looks like one of them is Delphine. Says the warning sign on the section of British Columbia Highway 16 known as the Highway of Tears, located 31.4 kilometers north of Smithers. Not yet dead. So here's the context. The Highway of Tears refers to a section of Yellowhead Highway 16 from Prince Rupert on the northwest coast of British Columbia to the central interior city of Prince George, British Columbia. So it's a stretch of highway where this happens, where there's a lot of truckers. 23 First Nations border Highway 16. The region is characterized by poverty and, until 2017, lacked adequate public transportation, which forced many locals to resort to hitchhiking as form of transit. That is disgusting. It took you to 2017, and this has been going on since, what, the 60s? The 60s, and you're just now putting, I don't even know what to say. They could have put a bus stop there. So it took them to 2017. Now here's the dates. Look at this. The exact number of women who have disappeared or been murdered along Highway 16 is disputed. The RCMP acknowledges 18 murders and disappearances in its list of Highway of Tears cases. Look at this date, dating from 1969, and you're just now in 2017 putting a form of transportation there so they don't hitchhike? Wow. The RCMP also included women who have disappeared from Highway 97 and 5 in British Columbia. 10 of these 18 victims are Indigenous women and girls. Oh my God. It's bad enough women, but girls? It says Indigenous groups argue that this number is misleading because it reflects only the disappearances and murders that have happened in the specific geographic areas around these highways, and that the real number in northern British Columbia exceeds 40. I agree with the Indigenous people. According to human rights Watch, an international non-governmental organization that conducts research and advocacy on human rights. British Columbia has the highest rate of unsolved murders of Indigenous women and girls in Canada. Wow. However, this problem is not unique to British Columbia. Considered a national crisis by many Canadians, the federal government around 2015 that it would launch an inquiry into missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. In that year, Carolyn Bennett, now federal minister of Crown, national number of murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls in Canada is likely over 1,200. This is insane. It is, Ansarita, I agree with you. It is. Canada is one of the worst states. It's not states, countries, sorry. Yeah, in 2015, they're saying it would launch an inquiry into missing and murdered Indigenous women. But Carolyn Bennett is now the federal minister of Crown Indigenous Relations Canada, says the number is 1,200. Each reported case of a woman's disappearance or confirmation of a recovered body has a cumulative effect within First Nations communities along the highway and across Canada, one of growing fear, frustration, and sorrow. Absolutely. Why the hell would you wait until 2017 to put a form of transportation for these people knowing that they hitchhike? That's fucking bullshit. And this started in 1969. Wow. The investigations from 1981 to 2005, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, that's what RCMP is. It is very cruel. People just don't care. And like with lately, not lately, but with what they found, what that happened with all the bodies at the schools, like I wouldn't expect any less from Canada or any other country. I really wouldn't. Yeah, it is real. There's no speculation or possibility. Nope. So in 1981, the RCMP organized a conference to investigate the growing number of unsolved cases of murdered and missing women along Highway 16 and other highways in interior British Columbia. Known as the highway murders, these cases involved women who either were found dead near Highway 16 or were last seen in that area, often hitchhiking. Yeah, Patricia, I don't know if you remember, but recently they found in the residential schools where they, even Canada and the States, had taken children from their homes and placed them in these schools to make them forget about being Indigenous. A lot of them were abused sexually. They were beat. They were murdered. They were died of disease. They were taken from their home. Yeah, it was the residential schools. Approximately 40 police detectives from British Columbia and Alberta attended the conference. Close investigation of the cases revealed a number of similarities, including reports of suspicious vehicles and the names of persons of interest. While the Highway Murders Initiative identified prime suspects in certain cases, between 1981 and 2005, women continued to disappear or were found murdered along the Highway of Tears in British Columbia. I knew about the transportation options. And what pisses me off is I didn't realize that whatever they did in 2017, they just acknowledged it then when this has been happening since the 1960s. Wow. It says RCMP Project EPANA 2005. In response to some commonalities between the murder case of 3 women, Alicia Germain, Roxanne Thiera, and Ramona Wilson, the British Columbia's RCMP's Unsolved Homicide Unit created Project EPANA in the fall of 2005 to investigate other cases of murdered and missing women and girls in the area along Highway 16. Are you friggin' kidding me? I feel like this is sloppy police work and they need to be held accountable. It's just, oh my, wow. This project was named in part after an Inuit word describing the spirit goddess that looks after souls just before they go to heaven or are reincarnated. Really? So, Pana? Has anybody ever heard that? Apparently means it's an Inuit word describing the spirit goddess who looks after souls just before they go to heaven or are reincarnated. I did not know that. At least I got one thing right. The RCMP used 3 criteria when reviewing the cases of missing and murdered women to determine whether they should be included in the Project EPANA investigation. 1, the victim was involved in a high-risk activity that would expose them to dangers such as hitchhiking or being involved in the street trade, prostitution. That's another reason why a lot of I find if with the prostitutes, like with the Robert Pickton case, the pig farmer, they never even looked into that until it was too late. He had killed so many women, it was disgusting. Deb, can you text Teresa and tell her I'm live? She messaged me, but I'm kind of busy. No, it should not take pressure from the public to give them urgency. No. It's not just women, it's girls. The victim was last seen or their body was discovered within 1 mile of British Columbia Highway 16. In 2007, this was broadened to include Highway 97 and 5, and then 3 if they were female. When EPANA was first launched, the RCMP identified 9 victims who had gone missing or who had been found murdered along Highway 16 from 1989 to 2006. Alicia Germain, Roxanne Sierra, Ramona Wilson, Aaliyah Auger, Tamara Chipman, Nicole Hoare, Lana Derrick, Delphine Nickel. Okay, that must have been the girl that was on the sign, Delphine. And Alberta Williams. All but one of these victims, Nicole Hoare, were Indigenous. Wow. Definitely some hate crimes going on here. In order to broaden the investigation, the RCMP used the computer software system, by-class violent crime linkage analyst system, as well as other databases and missing person records. In addition to the geographic area under investigation increased from 724 kilometers, so Prince Rupert, British Columbia to Prince George, British Columbia, to approximately 1,500 kilometers, which included not only Highway 16 to Hinton, Alberta, but also sections of Highways 97 and 5. This led the RCMP to double the number of Highway of Tears victims from 9 to 18, all of whom were murdered or disappeared over a 37-year period from 1969 to 2006. There was more than that, way more than that. Yeah, I agree. It is horrible that these high-risk women can go missing. Be murdered, assaulted with little to no investigation. It allows these sick people to keep going far too long. It's so sad. I agree. Yeah, the trafficking, right? That's another, yeah, that's, I don't know if they talk about it or not. The 9 additional Highway of Tears victims are Shelley Boscu, Marie Mosey, Monica Jack, Monica Ignace, Colleen McMillan, Hamlin Darlington, Gay Ways, Michelin Pear, and Gloria Moody. Oh, they're going to show the victims. I went live at 7. Sorry, I wouldn't message you. I'm just kind of busy. So from the earliest to the most recent cases, the following women under EPANA investigations. This is Gloria Moody. She's murdered and still unsolved. No, don't worry about it. It's okay. I knew that you were in Selfie's chat, so I didn't want to bug you. So this is one of the earliest victims. She's 27, a mother of 2, was last seen leaving a bar in Williams Lake, British Columbia on 25th October 1969. Her body was found the next day. This one's Michelin Pear. Wow. She was last seen July 1970 along the Fort St. John Hudson Hope, British Columbia Highway. Her body was found on August 8th, 1970, near Hudson Hope. She was 18 years old. I was going to say she can't be much no older than 20. I know, but you were in Selfie, so I didn't want to bug you. I was over there with you. It was funny. She was last seen July 1970. Yeah, 18 years old. Gail Ways, another murdered and unsolved. My God, she's just a baby. She's 19. She looks so young. A 19-year-old from Clearwater, British Columbia, was last seen hitchhiking in October 1973. Her remains were found in April 1974. The RCMP suspected Bobby Jack Fowler in her death, but no conclusive evidence existed to convict him. This is Pamela Darlington, and again, murdered and unsolved. They're just babies. Oh my God. Pamela Darlington was a 19-year-old Kamloops, British Columbia resident who was found murdered in a local park in November 1973. The RCMP suspected Bobby Jack Fowler for this one as well. Wow. Here's Monica. 15 years old. It's got to be somebody who's like a traveler, a trucker maybe. Monica was 15 years old when she was last seen walking along Highway 16 in Thornhill near Terrace, British Columbia in December 1974. Her body was found 4 months later, a few kilometers east from where she disappeared. Oh my God, this one looks like really, wow. Okay, here's Colleen McMillan. She was murdered and it's solved. Wow. 16 years old. So Colleen was 16 years old in August 1974 when she left her family home in Lac-La-Hache, British Columbia to hitchhike to visit a friend. Her remains were found 1 month later. 38 years later, in October 2012, DNA evidence led to the RCMP to announce, so it was him, Bobby Jack fucking Fowler. He died in an Oregon prison in 2006. They do look similar. Monica Jack, murdered and solved. Unfortunately, it's probably many different truckers. They run the roads and have a lot of piracy inside their... Yeah, I agree with you, Apig. That's what I'm thinking. That's how, what's his name? I believe it was Arthur Shawcross got away with that too. Monica Jack was the young... Oh my God, she was 12. Monica Jack was the youngest victim at 12 years old. She disappeared in May 1978 while riding her bike near Merritt, British Columbia. So she had transportation. She was riding her bike. Wow. Her remains were found in 1996. Oh my God, that's a long time. Gary Taylor Hanlon, a 67-year-old man, was charged in 2014 for her death and that of an 11-year-old girl, Catherine Mary Herbert, unrelated to the Highway of Tears investigation. Yeah, Deb, I've heard of that as well. Though Hanlon claims he is not guilty of killing Jack, prosecutors maintain that he confessed to the crime during a conversation with an undercover RCMP officer prior to his arrest. Hanlon's trial began in 2018 in the British Columbia Supreme Court. In January 2019, a jury found him guilty of the first-degree murder of Jack. There was a lot of loggers back in the day. It was hard to track years ago, too. Yeah, that's the problem. Wow. So this 12-year-old girl was murdered in 1978, and she finally gets justice in 2019. Wow. Maureen Mosey. Oh, I don't even want to know her age. She's 33. Maureen Moseley was 33 years old when she was last seen hitchhiking near Salmon Arm, British Columbia on May 8, 1981. Her body was found at the end of a runoff lane leading to Highway 97. So she's another murdered and unsolved. Shelly Ann, missing and unsolved. Oh my gosh. Highway of Tears, yep. Shelley was 16 years old when she disappeared from Hinton, Alberta. She was last seen by witnesses on May 3rd, 1983, near Highway 16. Another one, Alberta Williams, murdered and unsolved. They're just babies. Alberta Williams disappeared in August 1989 at the age of 24. Her body was found several weeks later near Prince Rupert, British Columbia in 2016. CBC News produced an 8-part podcast about her death entitled Who Killed Alberta Williams? I'm pretty sure that's on Prime, Who Killed Alberta Williams, because that's one of the things I wanted to watch as well. I'm going to watch that. Delphine, that was one of the women's names on the sign. This one's missing and unsolved. She's so young. 14 or 16. She disappeared on Delphine disappeared on June 14th, 1990, age 16. She was hitchhiking on the highway between Smithers, British Columbia, and her home in Telkwa, British Columbia. Ramona Wilson, another murdered and unsolved. Holy cow, she's 16 as well. Ramona Wilson was hitchhiking to her friend's home in Smithers, British Columbia on 11th June 1994. Where the fuck were the warnings? Why wasn't there signs put up? Why? They had to have known in the 60s something was wrong here, because it dates back to where they were found or when they were found, and it's still dating way back when. You would think. I don't understand this. So she was hitchhiking to her friend's home in Smithers, British Columbia on June 11, 1994. Her remains were found April 1995 alongside the Highway of Tears near the Smithers Airport. Ramona was a member of the Gitten Max band. I probably so chomped that word up. Her tragic story was part of a 2006 documentary by the Matisse filmmaker Christine Welsh, Finding Dawn, about missing and murdered Indigenous women in Canada. Another murdered and unsolved, Roxanne. She's gorgeous. 15? Holy cow. At the age of 15, Roxanne disappeared November 1994 from Prince George, BC. Her body was found near Burns Lake off Highway of Tears. Another, Alicia, murdered and unsolved. And again, Highway of Tears. Living in Prince George, Alicia was 15 years old at the time of her disappearance. Her body was found near an elementary school close to the Highway of Tears. Lana Derrick, missing and unsolved. This is insane. She was 19 years old when she disappeared on 7th of October, 1995. Last seen at a gas station near Terrace Thornhill in BC, she was traveling east on the Highway of Tears to her home in Hazelton area. She was enrolled in studies at Northwest Community College in Houston, British Columbia. Nicole, and this one's missing and unsolved as well. She was working in the Prince George, BC area as a tree planter. She was last seen hitchhiking from Prince George to Smithers on the Highway of Tears. She was 25 years old at the time of disappearance on June 21st, 2002. Tamara Chipman, again, missing and unsolved. 22 years old when she disappeared on September 21st, 2005. Last seen on the hitchhiking on the Highway of Tears. Her home community was in Mauricetown First Nation. Elias Sargent Auger, murdered and unsolved, 14 years old. And a student at D.P. Todd Secondary School in Prince George, BC, when she went missing. She was last seen by her family on the 2nd of February 2006. Her body was found on February 10th, 2006, in a fucking ditch along the Highway of Tears. Cases outside EPANET investigations. Indigenous groups claim that there are more missing and murdered women and girls than Project EPANET acknowledges. These include, but are not limited to, oh my god, Helen Frost, missing and unsolved. She was a 17-year-old teenager living in Prince George, British Columbia at the time of her disappearance. On the evening of October 13th, she left her apartment in the 1600 block of Queensway Avenue for a walk and never returned. Virginia, missing and unsolved. She was one of 6 children in her family, and on the 14th of October, 1971, her cousin, Alvin, saw her for the last time. She was standing near a bridge on the Highway of Tears outside her First Nation community. Wow. She was 18. You would think they would move this community away from this goddamn highway. Yeah, in the 70s, I think it was the same as it was for everyone to hitchhike. It was just what you did. And that's why Ted Bundy got away with what he got away with for so long. And these people that are killing these Indigenous women and girls. Cecilia, she was 15 years old when she was last seen in 1989. So what I mean, all these women in the 70s, in the 80s, they just should have done something. Her family claims she went missing along Highway 16 in BC. However, the police believe she went missing from Vancouver. Therefore, she's not on RCMP's Highway of Tears list. Well, maybe they should make it because she's still missing and it's still unsolved. I would make her on that list. Dina Bram, 16 years old when she was last seen alive, hitchhiking to her home to the Booty Lake area from Quesnel, BC on 25th of September 1999. Her body was found on December 10th, 1999, near Pinnacles Provincial Park, but it's still unsolved. Bonnie Marie Joseph, missing and unsolved. She was 31 years old when she was last seen in Vanderhoof, BC area on 8th September 2007. This Indigenous woman from the Yakut Band in the Fort St. James area was known to be very independent and was also known to hitchhike frequently between the communities of Fort St. James, Vanderhoof, and Prince George, BC. Exactly, Deb. Yeah, it's fucking sick. Madison Scott, missing and unsolved on May 28th, 2011. 20-year-old Madison Scott, also known as Maddie, went missing while camping at Hogsback Lake, located approximately 25 kilometers southeast of BC. Her pickup truck and tent were found at the campground with no sign of her, despite an extensive ground, water, and air search. This happened in 2011. Immaculate Basil, missing and unsolved. Also known as Mackie, was last seen walking on a Forest Service road northwest of Fort St. James, British Columbia on 13th of June 2013. Despite extensive ground searches, she was never found. She was 26 years old when she disappeared. Anita Thorne, missing and unsolved. She was a 49-year-old Prince George resident who was not seen by family members since the evening of November 19th, 2014. Her car was discovered the next day on the Highway of fucking Tears. What? Doreen Jack and family missing and unsolved? There's a family? Nothing underlies the profound sense of loss and tragedy surrounding the unsolved cases of missing and murdered women and girls along the Highway of Tears more than the case of Doreen Jack. As it was not just she who disappeared on the highway, but her entire family? How come I've never heard of this one? On the evening of August 2nd, 1989, Doreen's husband, Ronald, met a man at a local pub in Prince George, British Columbia, where the man offered him a job at a ranch or a logging camp. That night, the family prepared for the trip to the area of Ronald's new job. Around 1:30 a.m., Ronald called his mother from a resort located approximately 50 kilometers west of Prince George, British Columbia, on the Highway of Tears, informing her that he, Doreen, and their 2 boys, 9-year-old Russell and 4-year-old Ryan, were leaving for about 2 weeks. That was the last anyone ever heard from the Jack family. Holy shit. A whole family. This goes on forever. There is solved cases, apparently. Not very many. There's hardly any. Solved cases. So the Project EPA in 2012 investigation unit achieved a breakthrough in the case of 16-year-old Colleen McMillan. She disappeared in 1974. DNA evidence linked that Bobby Jack Fowler guy to her murder. So he was one of the serial killers that's caught and charged and in prison as of 2019. The RCMP also indicated he was a strong suspect in 2 other Highway Tears Project cases, those of 19-year-old Gail and Pamela Darlington. Yeah, we're still on for Sunday. Oh, yeah. Heck yeah. Need some laughs. Yeah, it's the same guy, so why wouldn't they investigate him then? Further, in these cases, clearly he was their number 1 suspect. I don't know. I'm not the police, so I don't get the gist of it. I just get pissed off. In December 2014, an arrest was made in the murder of Monica Jack. Having confessed to an undercover police officer that he committed the crime, Gary Taylor Hanlon was charged with first-degree murder in the case of Monica Jack and another case, both going back nearly 40 years. His trial began in 2018. The following year, he was found guilty of murdering Jack. So we already knew this. I already read this to you. So there is nothing new. While new cases exactly have been added to the RCMP investigation since 2007, the use of forensic evidence has helped investigators to arrest and charge some of the perpetrators and to keep these cold cases open. RCMP reports that since the creation of EPANA, it has collected 750 DNA samples, conducted 2,500 interviews, investigated 1,413 persons of interest, and administered 100 polygraphs. But yet, they haven't caught anybody or charged anybody since 2007. Oh, he did die in 2006? 20 victims still, eh? Holy shit. Private investigations? Apparently, so police investigators have not been the only ones searching for the persons responsible for the abductions and murders of women and girls along the Highway of Tears. Some families of lost loved ones have launched their own investigations with the assistance of those in their community. This is true. There's actual websites, and there is one that there's quite a few of them. It's disgusting if you ask me. They have to look for their own people, and they find out more than the police do. Private investigator Ray Michalko, an ex-RCMP officer, has also been on a personal mission to solve the Highway of Tears cases. Good. Without any compensation or pay, Michalko has made numerous trips to BC, North Central Interior, to meet with the victims' families and conduct his own personal investigations. That I love to hear. I love to see that. Controversies. There's still much debate over the exact number of women who have gone missing on or near the Highway of Tears. Many in the Indigenous community claim that this number exceeds 40. Some argue that socioeconomic inequalities limit the resources available to fund searches and awareness campaigns. I have to agree with that. Others contend that systemic racism, as well as a lack of knowledge about Indigenous issues, prevents proper investigations into these cases. I have to agree. Exactly, Deb. Some activists argue that the institutional racism and sexism has affected the searches for missing and murdered Indigenous women. Has it not, though? Like, come on now. Exactly. Although disappearances date back to at least 1969, activists point to the fact that the RCMP did not launch EPANA in 2005, and they also didn't get any form of transportation until 2017. That is ridiculous. In addition, the case which has arguably received the most media attention is that of Nicole Hoare, a non-Indigenous woman, oh my God, who disappeared in 2002. While some credit Hoare's case with initiating instigative efforts into the matter of missing and murdered women, others claim that her case likely received special attention because she is white. I'm sorry, but that rings true. 2012 Human Rights Watch investigation and report titled Those Who Take Us Away reveals the deep distrust of the police amongst Indigenous peoples in northern British Columbia due to the experience of discrimination and abuse. Well, I would too. Those experiences have influenced their perceptions of Highway of Tears investigations, according to some families of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. The police had assumed that many of the women were drunk prostitutes or had consented to sex before their disappearance or murder. Oh my God. As a result, they argue these women were ignored by police and essentially blamed for their own murder or disappearance. That's exactly it. And I'm sorry, but they're still being blamed for their own murders and disappearances. God. This is disgusting. Others contend that Nicole's case received more attention because her family and friends had access to greater financial resources and social connections than did most other families of missing and murdered women. In the case of Nicole, the city of Red Deer, Alberta, did some very effective fundraising to support the investigation. Similarly, Madison Scott's family had extensive financial and networking resources, resulting in a large monetary reward for information about her disappearance. Multiple billboards along the highway, posters and bumper stickers, and a website dedicated to her case. In contrast, most Indigenous families have limited resources compared to non-Indigenous families. The families of missing or murdered women will use every resource and recourse available to them in efforts to find their loved ones or solve their murders. However, poverty, lack of resources, and the marginalization of Indigenous families limit family efforts in launching effective public awareness campaigns for their missing or murdered loved ones. Wow. That's why the Indigenous people are taking this into their own hands. In October, oh God, there's an email scandal. In October 2015, an email scandal among government officials in BC raised doubt about the handling of the investigations. Access denied a 65-page report written by Elizabeth Denham, the province's Information and Privacy Commissioner, outlines how government officials triple-deleted emails relating to the Highway of Tears. Wow. Permanently removing them from the government's computer system. In so doing, Denham argues that these officials breached the Freedom of Information and Protection and Privacy Act. This scandal only adds to the concerns of activists and Indigenous groups that the Highway of Tears is seemingly irrelevant to certain high-ranking officials. I have to agree. In cities, we have police departments. In, I guess, like in rural areas, we have like police departments, and like where I am, we only have, well, where I am, I've got the OPP, the Ontario Provincial Police Department, and remember when I lived in the country, it was OPP. RCMP is British Columbia. Yeah, it's, wow. The 2006 Highway of Tears Symposium. The families of missing and murdered women have been at the forefront in raising public awareness for their lost loved ones. These families initiated a number of Highway of Tears awareness campaigns and walks over the years, culminating in one of the most notable walks, which started in Prince Rupert, BC, and ended in Prince George, BC, on March 30th, 2006. The end of that walk signaled the start of a Highway of Tears symposium attended by the victims' families and over 500 delegates representing all sectors of society, including the RCMP and various levels of government. The 2006 Highway of Tears was a collective and unifying voice from the victims' families and communities. The symposium report made 33 recommendations in the following areas: victim prevention, emergency planning and team response, victim family counseling and support, community development and support. Few of these recommendations were implemented. That pisses me off. Few of these recommendations were implemented. Of course. However, the announcement of a national inquiry into missing and murdered Indigenous women in 2015 has led some to believe that real change is on its way. Well, here we are in 2022, and I don't see any real change whatsoever. Do you guys? Because I sure don't. This is street art in Montreal. This is awesome. Justice for Aboriginal women. Wow. least I don't even know what to say. Some of these facts I didn't know. I wonder how many. Well, I don't know how many they can link AFIG to him, but I would imagine he's responsible for quite a few. And yeah, I agree, because that's such a long stretch of highway. I still can't believe it took them to 2017 to implement transportation. What is it, a bus? I'm mad. Just, I don't know. This is ridiculous. Yeah, this is in Montreal, Solon French. Justice for female. I'm not. Oh, he even says this. Okay. Wow. Just makes you feel sick. And to prove a point about racism, sure enough, the two white women, the one named Nicole and the other one, can't remember her name, were the only ones to have so much media attention, and it was on billboards and this and that, and yet these people know because they were Indigenous. That's why there's now Indigenous websites to help. And I'm glad that our CMP officer is involved, but we need more. In my area, I don't even think there is anything to have anything to do with the Highway of Tears where I live, or even the schools, the residential schools. There should be. Makes me want to do something. I don't know. Raise awareness. It's still happening. And there's still women that are missing. Is this due to targeting of Indigenous women or incompetent police not investigating those murders properly? Do you get many serial killers, murders in Canada? I know it's quite prevalent. Okay, so no, Canada's usually pretty good. We don't have as much crime as the States. We do have our fair share of serial killers. The one I talked about in the beginning of the stream, Jeremy Sabisky, whatever the hell his name is, that dink, he has murdered 4 women. One of the remains they can't identify. And yeah, it is definitely, I would say, hate crimes, definitely targeted Indigenous women and girls. And no, I do not believe the police handle this properly at all, because this has been going on since the 60s. And they're just now, as of 2017, putting in, I don't even know what kind of transportation system. I'm assuming a bus transportation system on the Highway of Tears just now in 2017. I think, yeah, that's crazy. And the last serial killer we had was 2 Indigenous brothers. They are now dead. The one brother killed his brother, and the one that got caught died while he was in prison. I think he was stabbed as well, and he just didn't make it. Yeah, you're right, Deb. That is true as well. Yeah, it's on that. Hey, Sean. It's very hard. There's no bus. They said in 2017 they supposedly implemented transportation. I'd love to know what that is, because I don't believe it. They should. And that's the thing. On that highway, they've known this since 1960s, that the Highway of Tears is picking up Indigenous women and girls and murdering them, right? So and they have the Indigenous community right along that highway. Why wouldn't you move that so they can go somewhere safely? I don't get it. Like right now, I was looking it up, who are Canada's active serial killers? And came up with Jeremy Sabisky and someone else, if it would. show me here. These two guys. I gotta show her my screen. But one of them's caught, and he goes to trial January. What did I say it was? That Jeremy guy who just murdered the recent serial killer that is now caught. He has he's in prison right now, or in jail right now. And January 13th, 2023 is his next court date, and he's pleading not guilty. It's ridiculous. So I Googled it earlier to see who are Canada's latest alleged serial killers. So here's this guy. This is the accused serial killer, Jeremy Skibicki. This guy, Joseph Sutherland. Wikipedia has a whole section on it. It's funny because in Canada we must be not able to see what. Well, we're not allowed to know anything. We're not even allowed to know about pedos around here. Nope, they're protected more than the victims. So we know this one. He was 35. He was charged with Jeremy Anthony Michael Skibicki. What is this other guy, though? Yeah, that's Rebecca. Okay. This guy, Joe. Okay, so this one. It says early last week that. Oh my God, he's in Toronto. Holy shit! Early last week, the Toronto Police Service announced an arrest in the 1983 homicides of 2 Toronto women. Susan Tice and Aaron Gilmore. Oh my God, there's another one. You gotta be fucking kidding me. I might do another live on this one. Because I've been on here for what, 2 hours? Yeah, I'm just gonna do another live. I didn't realize there was this one as well. So they're both caught. So the most notable serial killers are both caught. Joseph and Jeremy. One in British Columbia is in jail now, and the one is Wow in Toronto. And yeah, I didn't even hear about this guy. This is insane. I feel like we get sheltered, and I don't like that at all. We have every right to know what's going on in our country. I don't understand this. Like, I would love to know if there's any pedos living by me. There's quite a lot in Canada, but Japan and what do you mean, like active serial killers? Because as of right now, they just caught the last 2 here that I know of in Srida. Yeah, Japan and England both have a lot more. Holy crap. Like, for Canada, this is pretty bad. This is 3 serial killers now. Oh, you mean total? Yeah. I've got a list of them. I got a series coming on true crime I'm going to do with one of my subs, and it's going to be about the serial killers in Canada. But these 3 right here, those 2 brothers, Jeremy and now Joseph, are the 3 latest serial killers, and this is within a span of a few months here. I agree, Sean, and I don't understand why we're not allowed to know where these pedos are, because I do have a child. There's a park right beside me, and we should know. We should be allowed to know. I know where these 1, 2, 3 whack jobs are. I say whack jobs because they're something's wrong with them. I don't know what else to call them. I believe there's drugs involved. They're very sketchy people. They freak me out. So I've got my eyes on them. There's a damn drug dealer right across the street, down 2 houses from me. He's been in the paper. He's already had a police raid. Like, this is real nice. I need that in my neighborhood, right? You can't go to the grocery store or even chill at a park. No. It's not right. We should be allowed to know so that we can be safe. It's disgusting that they are protecting the predators instead of the victims and future victims and those unknown. The identified include Highway of Tears, 40 young women in BC since 1969, and Toronto hospital baby deaths. What? There's one I don't know about, the Toronto hospital baby. Oh, wait, is that the recent one? Is that one? Yeah, I did hear about. Disgusting. That was 1980, 1981. Okay. We can get that info. Yeah, I know you guys can get that info in the States, but we can't. And I don't understand that. You guys can have guns and we can't. Like, if someone were to break in my house and I have a gun and I shoot him, I'm going to prison, not them. If a guy falls through my roof, I get charged for that. I can get sued for that, even though they shouldn't have been on my goddamn roof. How does that make sense? Our laws need to change. Yeah, the drugs are very bad. And I've got 3 people. Like I said, there's my neighbor right beside me. There's one that's 2 doors down who's the dealer, and then the other one around the corner, about 5 houses down, who does it. Like, are you serious? It has, Sean. All right, I should get off of here. My son just got home. I thought he was going to stay with his dad tonight, but he's not. I want to hug him. Tell him I love him. I don't know. These stories make me so sad, especially the one last night that I did with the boy in the box. Oh, that was devastating. That's the number I pinned, though. If anybody has any tips about the latest 4 women that were murdered, there's a woman who's unknown, and she's, I believe, 45. No, she's not 45. That's another woman. It messed me up too, Brenda. I don't know if you watched what I did last night, but it was bad. I will, Deb, of course. It's just crazy that poor boy, his remains are finally found, and the only thing they have to say for themselves is because the parents are dead, they're going to respect their identities. The only siblings he has is on his father's side of that poor boy. Wow, it's too much. Tomorrow I have nothing planned and no videos coming out at all. I don't know, I might take a break for tomorrow and just be with my son. You did watch it? It was bad. Oh yeah, of course you did. You were commenting. Sorry, my memory's horrible. Yeah, it was bad. I know, it was horrible. You missed the haunted one? Okay, that's what I should do tomorrow. So I still got to finish the rest of that book, Haunted London, and then we can watch and we'll have a good night, and we can watch some more of the BuzzFeed. Those 2 idiots. I love watching them. They're hilarious. Because yesterday and today were some pretty rough days for me with these crimes. So we can watch some more Haunted London, or we can read some more out of my Haunted London book, and then watch more BuzzFeed videos as well. Watch one more. Yeah, I think we'll do that tomorrow for 7 p.m. Sounds fun? All right, we'll do that. No, it's okay, Deb. Yeah, it can be. We need to have a fun day tomorrow. So we'll do a live tomorrow and we'll have some fun. And then Sunday, yeah, I know I said I wouldn't go live about KJ. This time I'm going to, because it's going to be showing just her bullshit lies. It's not going to be me getting mad or anybody else getting mad. It's just going to be pretty much, I'm going to be laughing her ass off at her because she's such an idiot. But just her contradictions and all her lies, stuff like that. Jackie Snotty and I decided it'd be a good idea to have a laugh. Oh, yeah, it was informative, eh? Well, I'll be back with more of this Joseph George Sutherland guy who I just found out about. All right, yeah, I think it would be fun. Just have a nice, relaxing, funny stream tomorrow and Sunday. Okay, I agree. Because these last 2 days has been kind of rough. I haven't been able to sleep. All right, well, thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate this. I know, me too, Aunt Frida. Exactly, me too. I can't wait. I think I'm going to lay off the KJ crap, though, because it's too much for me. And I would rather do stuff that I care about, like this. This is more me. You know what I mean? This is way more informative. This is way more... She's got a new target, and it involves... You gotta be kidding me. All right, I guess I'm going to have to see what the hell she's doing now. My God. I know she's still going after 7M. She won't leave them alone. She keeps posting and talking about them. When you're in a lawsuit, usually you're supposed to shut your mouth, but this one doesn't. And then I've seen recently, she's posting these victims' whereabouts, their vehicles, their shelter, and everything else. Is that what you're talking about, SD? Because I did see that. It just infuriated me. So I've been posting stuff on Twitter to report her. I don't care. She's got to stop. Yeah, that's it. Okay, I do know about that. Yeah, I'm with you, Brenda. Yeah, it's like, seriously, I need a freaking break. I want to do something and more things that mean something that actually helps. KJ will get her day, and when she does, we're having a big ass party and we're all getting drunk. Fuck yeah. I really hope the judge gives them the default. Well, I don't understand why the judge is asking for 90 days to give them that 7M. 7M the default? Are you kidding me? What she's doing to these people is disgusting. You're in a lawsuit. She should not be doing that whatsoever. But as we all know, that little fucker gets away with everything. She must got a horseshoe up her ass and some clovers too, because she gets away with everything. All right, I'm going to get off here. I'll be back tomorrow, 7 p.m. We'll do some Haunted London reading, and then we'll laugh at the boys. Yeah, go live. I think a lot of us will, Brenda. Absolutely. Maybe she's watching her socials. Yeah. All right, you guys have a great night. I'll be back tomorrow night and Sunday for some laughter. Dead. Bye.